Okay, class, so we already finished demo 1, so let's go ahead and start a new one. So what we're going to do today is we're actually going to import a reference. So what we're going to learn today to do, instead of a face, we're going to go ahead and build a basic robot. And we're going to use still primitives. We're not going to go into component mode yet, whether faces or edges or any of that stuff yet. We still want to know what are other wonderful tools we can utilize using just primitives, fillet, and all these things, so you can get really nice round edges. It's just like a few more stuff using primitives, because you can get away with a lot of wonderful things without going into component mode yet. Okay, so in your class folder, you will find from now on this thing called pickup. So as we go along with every day, let's go ahead and just change that to that. And we'll just take away and take it off. So as you drop in your work every single week, you'll see a pickup that's always going to be there, and scans for those who always want to scan their stuff. I'll be placing things in there. So in your pickup, if you ever feel like, after, I'm done with the demo, after you ask me so many questions, and I would love to answer all of them, and I do answer all of them, and I encourage you to ask me because I'm here. So me and Enrique are here. Enrique actually knows more than me about Cinema 4D. So any other questions, I'll be asking him sometimes to tell me a few more things. But the idea is that you have this QuickTime movie at any time during break. You want to come in early in class and just come and check a look at it. Remember what you forgot last week. You can always have this video to actually go back to. So that will be under Pickup, Class Tutorials, and we're going to go ahead and keep piling them up. So last class was demo 1, and then we're going to go ahead and have demo 2, demo 3, demo 4. So at any time you can go back and look at how we did something. And it just is a helpful tool that other students, my previous students, also found very useful. Okay, but where to find it? Under pickups. Also under pickup, I have some concept art for you today. There's tons of robots we can model that you can take a look at, but definitely the one we're going to be modeling today is this one, Redbot. And we're just going to take a look at the front and what it looks like in the back and the side. So if you have a front and a side, you can even if you have just a front, you can probably estimate the side. But usually in the industry, whenever you come up with a concept, you come up with characters, it goes through the storyboard process and the character design process. In character design, when they're designing characters, they draw them in a T-pose sometimes, and in the front view and in the side view. Sometimes we get into more detail where they actually show what each limb looks like. We don't need that right now, but I have it here somewhere like that. So it gets into the more detail. But right now we're just doing the basics. So we're doing basically the basic mesh of the body, the basic mesh of the head, and the basic arm and legs. So, but you don't have to get into too detail because again, it might not end up in your thing. This is just a basic exercise. But there's tons of simple models that you can also take a look at for inspiration. Like this one's just total primitives. Okay. So we're all going to model that one for now, just so we can see the basics and understand. The whole exercise between this is to reassure you to know how to zoom in and zoom out, and also get to introduce grouping and parenting for you, those basic concepts there, as well as the fillet tool. Okay, so now we have these two images. I'm going to go ahead and open up my new Cinema 4D, and I'm going to go ahead and load these images. Now, how do you bring images into Cinema 4D? Okay, so it's very, very easy. We're going to go to our materials. Again, from last week or last class, we talked about materials. So, and every section that we have. So we have the camera view, the perspective view, and the object that comes in, and how we can control the object here, and its parameters over here, and rotation values over here. And then this right here will control materials. Materials means texture maps. Texture maps are a fancy way of saying color. But the cool thing about 3D is that you don't just draw a color. You can actually draw the way the material is presented. In other words, you can have something that's shiny, okay? And you have something that's mud. So shiny, like maybe plastic or glass. You can have something that looks kind of mud, kind of like skin or, jeans. So you can actually choose the actual texture and transparency and translucency of the actual object. So you're not just limited to a few. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to double click on material. And that's just a fancy way to get a new material, but the actual way is to go under File and then New Material. Okay? But I'll show you how to do things like, fast ways, shortcuts, and how to get to things the proper way. So, New Material, or double click and get a new material. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And we have so many channels here, so we're going to go a little bit deeper. Last class we just talked about color. But you have all these things, bump maps, luminance, diffusion. So what we're going to do is go under color, and then this is where we can go ahead and load the texture. So we're going to load that file. Sometimes we'll give you a nice path to tell you where your file is located. So watch me here. Again, don't take notes. I'll do all this stuff again for you guys to take notes. But I just want you to watch so your mind gets to remember where things are. So again, I double-clicked. I got that shader. I'll double-click on the shader. Or it's right here too. But I just like to make it and expand it so the whole class can see, especially that you also have a small monitor small presentation on your monitor. So we're going to go ahead and make sure color is on, and we're going to go ahead under texture and click on those three little dots, or you can just say open, I think. But I'm used to doing this. And then I'm going to go ahead and go one up. And let me just go ahead and go back to the class. So there, and pick up robots, robot design, and we're going to go ahead and pick up the front. So the front, open, yes. So there it is. There's the character. Okay, now what it does here is just wraps it around the sphere so you get to see what it looks like, as a texture map. But you can always right mouse click, I believe, somewhere and just say plain if you want to just see the image itself. But I'm going to go back and keep it on default. You don't want to mess around with that. I think they have animation now if you put it on an object, but I'll show you that later on. This is a new features that they added, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep it on default. So this is what, I'm going to turn animation off. Okay. So now that's my texture map, except I don't have any object yet. So I don't have anything to put it on, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create an object. Again, to create an object, and we have tons of objects right here under the blue box. We have all these different objects that I can attach it. I'm going to go ahead and utilize a plane. Plane looks like that. Okay. Now, you see all these like little sections? These are called polygons and segments, right? There's so many segments. Now, this is great if I'm going to go ahead and bend it, or I'm going to pull out something from it, or I'm going to do anything type of manipulation, right? So I can keep it dense. However, right now I'm only using it for just an image to slap an image on it. So I don't need all these segments. Remember, we're actually creating games. So we want to make sure that we keep what we call the poly count down. How many people know what poly count means? Raise your hand. Okay. All right, tell me what it means.
The amount of polygons on an object.
Very good. So the more that your character is really cool looking and has low density, low segments, let's call it, or sections, the more your game will run in real time. You notice that when you played some of the students' games in the beginning of the semester, and when you opened it, it took a while for it to open. And some of them, even when you're playing, sometimes it would choke or sometimes, right? That's because some of the stuff that they forgot and kept it kind of dense, but you can lower that density. You don't have to stick with that high of a density. So what we're going to go ahead and do, where do you control that? Where do you actually control, how many, segments do you want? Right here, you have width and height. You guys see that? Right now, by default, it gives you 20 and 20. We don't really need that. We just want 1 by 1. So you can do two things to change all these parameters. You can click on the arrow down or up to manipulate, or you can just type it in. So I'm going to show you both. So I'm going to change the segment to just one. Go, press down, go, whoop, one. You guys see that? How much fun that was? Great. I can do this all day. So next, I'm going to go ahead and drag that and put that right on top. Boom. There's my character. Now, he's facing up to the sky. What's up? Y, right? Y means up and down. So now I need to rotate it. I need to rotate the plane so it's facing the front direction. Okay, what's the front? Who can tell me what axis is front? What? Front is Z. Okay, up is Y. So up and down is Y. So there's Z, and it's facing the front. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate my object. And then just rotate it onto the X. So it's right there. Now you see how my hand, I'm going, I don't have to spend too much time, you know, again, on my wrist. Remember, your wrist is precious. Your arms are precious. So you don't want to spend too much time trying to get it accurate. I just get it to the basic where I want. And guess what? I can type in right here a value right there. I can type in. What's straight up?
90.
Very good. You guys are awake and up. Awesome. Thank you. So 90 degrees, boom. It just slaps. It's perfectly straight. So all I have to do now is adjust a little bit its size. It looks a little bit scaled up. So I can go ahead and use the scale and just bring it down a little bit. And I'll try to move around, try to measure. Actually, they do have a parameter. The image has a parameter, an axis. I can go back to here and check out my axis is 176 by 370, blah, blah, blah. So I can go ahead and get those same parameters and scale them that way. But I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of guess it and eyeball it right here. Okay, so we got that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste. Now, I copied and pasted. I have two of them. But you look at it like, Mohammed, are you crazy? You only have one. What do you mean you have two? I know I have two. How do I know that I have two?
You have 2 objects.
Very good, because I have two objects over there, man. You guys were awake last week. Okay, very good. Last class. So whenever I say last week, I mean last class, because I teach once a week at a different college. So what we want to do here is now I have two objects, right? Except they're right on top of each other. So my organizer tells me, hey, you have another object. Now I can go ahead and take that, and I can go ahead and rotate that. I want to rotate that a little bit this way, this side. I know it looks kind of freaky. So what type of degree I want to put that in? 90 again. Boom. Now, for the side plane that I have right now, it still looks the same. Exactly. That could be your game, and you're done. You know, that's your whole game. Just duplicating geometry. Okay. So what we want to do is on this plane, I want to go ahead and get a different texture. So I'm going to go ahead and do what? Who can tell me? Who can walk me through this?
Double click.
Double click on the material. Okay. Somebody else. What do I do next?
Click on the white box.
And the white box. Okay.
No, never mind.
There we go. I was just tricking you.
you.
Okay. What else?
Press the triple dot.
Press the triple dot. Very good. Under texture. So make sure you're in color. Go and double click on the triple dot. And then I got to bring in the side and say what?
Okay.
Obviously. It's going to ask you to move that image from that image to another, which is a good thing. And you're going to find out that's going to help us with saving a project. So don't worry about it. So this way, when you save, you always are going to save your scene with all the pictures in it. So whenever you go home, whenever you want to show it to a client, whenever you want to take it on a flash drive, you don't go crazy. Everything is saved properly, and I'll show you what it means later. So I'm going to say yes right now, and there it is. And I'm going to go ahead and close that, say thank you very much, and I'm going to go ahead and slap that right there. Boom. That is the wrong one. I'm going to go ahead and slap that one. Bam. And there's my side. If I wanted to go ahead and see it, I'm going to go to my move tool and see it right there. Now he's facing the wrong way, so I want him to go what? Minus 90. So under rotate down here, I'm going to type in a nice, actually 180, you're right.
Oh,
No, it was minus. Guys, it was minus 90. There we go. You guys messing me around. All right, here we go. So, whoops, I don't want to scale it, so I'm going to undo And then I'm just going to go to my red marker and just bring it back. Now, this is going to be helpful so we can see the side view and the front view when we're modeling. Okay? And we got to go to the front view and take a look at our image. What's shaded mode here? Enrique? Edit. Somewhere in here. Yeah, we'll come back to it in a minute. But anyway, so that's how you load an image into Cinema 4D. So let me go ahead and stop that. Stop it.